we have our first speaker, Ms. Virginia Holmes. She's going to be talking about makeup. Makeup is a word that brings tears of joy to every young girl or woman's eyes. Globally, it is a $60 billion industry. Needless to say, it has a massive impact on our daily lives. Ms. Virginia Holmes followed her passion and broke the norms of a safe job in order to form FATMU, India's premier makeup academy and company. She studied at the London College of Fashion and has worked on films like Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, the Cheetah Girls, Margherita with a Straw, and has done shots for GQ, Elle, Marie Claire, and Vogue. And she has also worked on the award-winning movie Slumdog Millionaire. Get ready to be bewildered and blown away by her idea of doing the unconventional. Can we please have a round of applause for Ms. Virginia Holmes?
So I'm here very simply to tell you my story today. I am a makeup artist. It sounds very simple, isn't it? I am a makeup artist. I want to very quickly introduce you to two men that changed my life. So here are the two men that changed my life. One of them you will recognize. Everyone knows Michael Jackson? And the gentleman who is putting makeup on him is a very, very famous makeup artist called Rick Baker. Now, I watched this in 1983, and I fell in love with two things. I fell in love with Michael Jackson. I think half the planet did. And also, I fell in love with the idea of transformation and makeup. I was too young to realize it was makeup. I saw, in the making of video of Thriller, Rick Baker painstakingly putting on makeup, layers of prosthetics, in order to make Michael Jackson a scary werewolf. So that, for me, really ignited a spark in transformation makeup. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm from a little town outside London, and I grew up the backdrop 1970s, 1980s England. So for me, more was more. Today we have less is more, and when people wear makeup today, it's a little bit more gentle, it's more minimal. For me, I woke up every morning to see my mother putting blue and green eyeshadow on. And almost every mother at the school gate looked like Lady Gaga. The 80s was astonishing. This just gives you a little example of what people were doing. Crazy colors, you can see. Again, a backdrop just to give you an idea of the wild characters that were out there at the time. Boy George, Cyndi Lauper, Princess Diana sporting blue eyeliner. I always say Indian women are born with kajal in their hands. And for us in the 80s, it was blue eyeliner. So I was always very comfortable with color, with transforming myself every day, playing with mum's makeup, and getting very, very excited. As I grew up in the 80s, and I was about 10 or 11, I started to watch a lot of movies. Like most of you, movies have a huge impact on our lives. I watched one movie in particular. Now you'll look at this image and you'll go, yuck. Can you all see the image? It's really quite graphic. And I watched a lot of musicals, I watched a lot of comedies, and I also started to watch horror films because I had an older brother. So he used to get his friends around and say, let's watch a really nasty horror film. And they used to get worse and worse and worse. And I was too young, I didn't really realize. I just used to look at all these transformations again. This film, the same makeup artist as Michael Jackson's Thriller, Rick Baker, turned this gentleman into a werewolf as well. And again, the idea of, wow, that's really cool. That's a really great job to do. Transforming, creating characters. So this film really, really stuck in my mind. And this film, hopefully you've never seen this film, it's quite scary. The Exorcist, it's meant to be the scariest film of all time. Again, the makeup, astonishing makeup. They turned a little girl into a demon, and I wouldn't say watch it. I think if you're interested in makeup, have a go, have a look at it. Really, really fantastic in terms of what they did technically. And as a little girl, I wasn't scared. I was just transfixed. Wow, that's a very, very cool job to do. Today, so that was 1983, growing up in the 80s. Today, 2016, and I sometimes ask myself, how did I get to doing this? How did I get to being on set, in a studio, doing makeup, doing something I love? And I look back and it seems very simple now. At the time, it wasn't simple. When I was at school, I wanted to do something with creativity, dancing, singing, acting. And all my peers always said, that's great, you can do that in your spare time, but it's not a career. Go this way. So my little voice inside me, which you all have, and is very true to ourselves, will tell you one way, but you get pushed the other way. So it was the first time I was quite aware of thinking, I want to do something, but I have to go this way. So I was a very good girl. I loved my parents, respected my parents. They said, get a degree. It's your passport to life. Then you can do what you want. So that's what I did. I went through school. I participated as much as I could with creating and transforming. Loved makeup, going out on a Saturday night, so used to do crazy things with my own makeup. And I joined a local amateur dramatics group. So I used to do a little bit of performing, and I used to work behind the scenes as well, because I just loved that world. Thought it was very, very exciting and much better than being in an office. So for me, I was very comfortable with that. One day, I got a part. My mother said, you've got your exams. You shouldn't really be putting all that energy into something like theatre. So I begged her. I said, please, please, please let me do this particular role. I got a role which was 3 lines, and again, really changed my life, because this woman made me into a bloody apparition from Macbeth. I had 3 lines, but I think I stole the show because of my makeup. And the getting ready was fantastic. I sat backstage while she poured blood, layers of blood and gore all over me. And I just thought, again, cool job, love it. So that stuck in my mind, that I really want to go in that direction. But again, the career wasn't offered to me. So, carried on at school, did my A-levels, had a gap year because I still wanted to do something different. And I found from 15 to 21, almost every week, the same question being asked of me. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? And it's such a hard question to answer even now.
This is fine.
It's hard.
Right here,
So,
like this.
yeah, so the question, what do you do? What do you want to do? And it's a very hard question, even now when people say, what do you do? People want to put you in a box. Like here, I'm in a box. People want to put you in a box. And if you're not someone who's comfortable with that, because you're always open to change and not quite sure of how you define yourself, it's very confusing as an adolescent. So I kept on putting off this question. And if someone said to me, what do you want to do? I would say, I don't know, but I like these things. So I kept moving in this direction. And people telling me, maybe you should go get a job in the city, do all these things that you're meant to do. And in the 80s and sort of early 90s as well, success equaled working in the City of London, wearing a suit, and making lots of money. So if you wanted to do something different, you didn't necessarily get supported in that. So I was a good girl. I got my passport to life. And on my last day, literally, of university, my father called me up and said, so what's the plan? So I was 21, and I saw everyone else had a plan. So I said, give me half an hour. Put down the phone, went and got pen and paper, and I just wrote down a list of things I liked, things I didn't like, eliminated things out of my life. Rang him back, and I was so delighted with myself. I want to be a makeup artist. And there was silence down the phone. So I felt really guilty because my parents had funded me up to this point. So I said, don't worry, you know what? I'll put it to one side. I will go to London and I will just try different jobs. I'll try different careers. And again, that's what I did. I went to London, tried different careers, lived on a houseboat, which was a little unconventional, as well. And I liked London, but I just knew there was a big world out there. And I felt, again, I didn't sort of fit in. So I kept moving careers and trying things. Eventually, I fell into advertising. So I worked in advertising for 18 months in a worldwide office. Lots of nationalities within this office, and I really loved it. And I loved meeting different people. And there was the Indians in the office I became very friendly with. They started talking about Bollywood. And this was in the year 2000. The year 2000, the millennium, was a very interesting time because people thought the world was going to end. And it was really quite interesting because people were suddenly very aware of time. And I remember thinking at my desk, it's 1999. Oh my God, what if the world ends? What am I doing? So it actually really gave me a big push. And I thought, I want to be a makeup artist. So I rang my dad and I said, I'm going to get a loan out and I'm going to fund myself and I'm going to be a makeup artist. Again, another pause. And he said, okay, you've got your passport to life. This is what you want to do. I had also started to research and go and meet different makeup artists to find out what it actually meant to be a makeup artist. And all the gore that I've shown you, all the special effects, I realized when I went to meet these artists that I couldn't look at examples and pictures of dead bodies. I couldn't look at gory things actually when it was put in front of me. So I sort of very downhearted and I thought, oh no, I made this huge decision and I can't actually do it. And the more I met makeup artists, the more I realized that the world of makeup was huge. It wasn't just special effects. So I started to think, great, there's theatre, there's fashion, there's film, there's teaching, there's so many different things to makeup. And also, you can design your life around makeup. You can stay at home, you can travel the world, you can stop, for a woman, you can stop and have babies if you want to, and you carry on. There's no shelf life. So it's actually, the more you put in, the better you are. So for me, I just thought it is a fantastic career. I did my training in 2000. I realized I had a passion to be on a film set and really, really hungered to do films. I didn't come from a film background. Where I was from was not like Hindi cinema, and everyone in Bombay is connected to films and media. So I really sort of struggled to get started. But eventually, I sat down again with my paper and pen, and I thought, right, I love travel. I've been to India before. I love India. I'm going to go to Bollywood. So I booked a ticket. I rang up my advertising pal, and I said, I'm going to Bollywood. And he laughed, and he went, ha, ha, ha. And he said, good luck. Here's a telephone number. So I landed up in 2000, November the 1st, and thought I would stay 1 month. So now it's 2016, and I've been here for quite a few years. So I have started off my career with film. That was my passion. I loved transforming characters. Not so much just glamour, because when people think about makeup, they think it's glamorous. And I'll talk a little bit about the perception of makeup artists and what people think we are and what we do a little bit later. So over 15 years, I've worked in Hindi cinema, international films. I've always thought I'm in the right place at the right time. Yes, I've worked hard, but I've been very, very lucky with what has come my way. As you can see from here, that's me in the luxury of an air-conditioned studio. And you have music going, you've got nice people to hang around with. It's a really fun, environment. Here, I'm on set on the streets of Chandigarh and shooting for a international Hollywood film called Zero Dark 30. I don't know if any of you have seen it. So every day, I would be having to deal with about 500 to 1,000 Sikh gentlemen and styling their beards. So quite a contrast between doing sort of fashion in studios and being on the front line of makeup. But I have always loved doing a little bit of everything. So slightly unconventional in the sense that I didn't just want to do fashion, I wanted to do film, TV, theatre, and keep it interesting, keeping it alive for myself and not just getting bored with one thing. And always being aware of what is happening to you in life, meeting different people, and I think just going with your gut feeling and learning that that inner voice that's always talking to you, always follow that. Even if it feels a little bit strange, if you can, follow the inner voice. These are just some of the films that I've been lucky enough to work on. Obviously, Slumdog is the huge feather in our cap. I co-designed it with my business partner, Natasha. And we do small independent films, we do big budget Bollywood films, and it's been quite a journey. So over 15 years, I've done 18 films, interspersed with over 50 TV commercials, fashion shoots, makeup workshops, etc., etc. I met Natasha, who is here, in 2004, and in 2006, we were on a film set in Rajasthan, and she said to me, let's start a makeup company, because we were on set in 50-degree heat, getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, every morning, having 18-hour days, and we said, we can't do this forever. What are we going to do? How do we see our future? So again, we just thought outside the box a little bit and thought, how could we do something which we still love to do? So again, following the inner voice of keeping ourselves on the front line, of pushing boundaries for ourselves and for the industry as well. So we started our makeup company, FATMU, in 2006, 10 years ago, and then we started our academy in 2010. We really like to do interesting, different things and not just glamour. So this is an example of us working together on a shoot with Lara, and this was about 4 or 5 years ago. And Natasha said, oh, let's do something cool. Let's push ourselves. Let's take inspiration from the Ajanta Ellora caves. You all know the Ajanta Ellora caves? If you haven't been, go. They are hugely inspiring, incredible to see. And we looked at all the paintings and the statues, and we thought, let's make Lara into a statue from that time period. So if you can see, the hair is very sort of intricately done to match that time period. And Natasha, I was doing hair, Natasha was doing makeup, so she painted gold leaf all over Lara Dutta's body. I don't think Lara Dutta quite realized what she was getting into, because it took us 4 hours to do. She was very patient though, and sat through all of it. Last year we did Lakme Fashion Week, and we had an interesting theme of sculpt. So we were very lucky in the fact that we had to design a makeup fashion show. And really, we got to sort of really push what makeup is about. And as you can see, we did some really, really interesting, fun work. At our academy, we also try and really push the girls to think differently. I say girls because predominantly there are 90% of girls doing makeup, and we have a very small percentage of boys. So the trend where it used to be makeup artists are men, a lot of girls coming through, which is great. And we always say to the girls, you've got to be different, you've got to be unconventional, you've got to use your imagination. So we give them homework to do, and this is some of the examples of what our students do. So they get inspired from artwork, or it could be a photograph. They then draw it before it goes onto the face. So very, very sort of interesting way to work, and the students love it, and we are always in awe of what they create. So I'm going to go back a little bit and just talk about what it is to be a makeup artist and what perceptions there are out there. So going back to my childhood, when people said, you want to be a what? A makeup artist? A lot of people said, no way. Now it's very, very different, and I think people are realizing, as the introduction said, that makeup is huge money. And I think a lot of dads in India are now recognizing that their daughters can actually make a lot of money doing makeup. So the trend is actually starting to be good in terms of people becoming makeup artists. It's okay to be a makeup artist now. 10 years ago it wasn't. Now it's a cool thing to do. And there's a lot more respect for the artistry in itself, because if you take away the word makeup, you're an artist. You have to have the same training in techniques, color theory. I think our work is harder because we work on a moving, living, breathing canvas. Can you imagine that? You're painting on something that's constantly moving and secreting, and on a mobile phone half the time. So very, very tricky. So you have to be able to handle people, situations. You could be a makeup artist who works for an actress or an actor, solely for that person. You could make yourself a designer. That means that if you're a film designer, you would get a script, you would read the script, you would sit with a director, producer, you are in charge of budgets. You have to work out the economics, the creative part, and the practical side. You've got to get your teams together. So it's like project management. Hugely stressful, looks easy. Films are incredibly difficult. They are unique, they're fun, amazing experiences. You get to travel. I've seen most of India, a lot of India, through being on film sets. I've done films in Ladakh, Rajasthan, Goa, Kerala, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat. I haven't been east yet, so I'm looking see if I can go that way. So it's a great career in terms of that. But it is tough. And when people say to you, you want to be a makeup artist, it's good now. It's a little bit easier. People also expect. I've had people say to me, "You're a makeup artist? You don't look like one," which always stuns me because I think, what do makeup artists look like? Sometimes if you wear makeup, it's too much. You might go into a retail shop and they're selling makeup, so they have to wear a lot. But generally, when you're working, you're not the star of the show. You're transforming someone. Could be a bride, it could be an actor, it could be someone going to a fashion event or a glamour event. So you're just into transformations. So now the perception is changing. There's a respect for the artistry. People are recognizing it's a good living for women to do. It's a great career in that respect. Is it unconventional? The talk, really, the theme is doing the unconventional. I have led, I think, a slightly unconventional life. The fact that I'm from a little town in England and I've been living here for 16 years, worked in films, I've set up a makeup company, running classes. To me, I feel normal. So all I can say to people is, what is conventional to you is unconventional to someone else. And I think the only thing that I've learned is listening to your inner voice as much as you can will keep you on the right track. And it's not a race. You do things in your own time. So thank you very much for listening to my talk on makeup and listening to my story.
Thank you, Ms. Virginia, for your talk. Everyone, please give a huge round of applause, please.
Thank you. Oh, wow. Thank you. That's lovely. Thank you.